the night. I am Batman!
Hello everyone, thanks so much for joining me here today as I get to talk about one of my favorite subjects, comic books. My name is Jose. I love comic books, I love talking about them, I love sharing them with you. Feel free to follow me on social media if you would like. Links are in the description below. I've also posted a link to the DC fan site that'll have plot synopsis and character bios for this issue. We are looking at Detective Comics 517 from 1982. So I was 8 years old when this book came out. And I remember my grandfather got it for me. And this thing, to this day, I remember just looking at this going, my God, it made a profound impact in me. So we start out with the cover and Robin going, good Lord, what happened to Batman? And Alfred here choking as we see, great cover by Gene Colan, just Batman here. So what's going on? We'll see here. So we are continuing Gerry Conway and Gene Colan's story. And I have a playlist for Batman. Feel free to check that out. I've got a lot of stuff in there. So we get Batman going into Wayne Manor here and opening the door, and we're not seeing Batman at all. We're just seeing everything from his eyes, and just great stuff here. And he is going to splash some water in his face. And then the monster in the mirror. So we're going to see this picture, and we see a scream up here as we see a vampire Batman. Now, unlike Elseworlds, this really is supposed to have happened in continuity. Now, it probably got retconned after Crisis on Infinite Earths, but it sure was to an 8-year-old boy reading comic books. Boy, did this make a freaking impact on me. And Gene Colan is absolutely perfect for this story here. Absolutely perfect. So we see Gerry Conway and Paul Levitz writing it together, and Gene Colan is penciling with Tony DeZuniga as his inker here. Dick Giordano was the editor at for Batman during that time. So before I move on, I just look at this freaking glorious splash page here. This was impactful to an 8-year-old boy, particularly in 1982. So when my grandfather got this book for me right off the rack, I remember he picked it up, brought it home, and I was just, my God. To this day, this book and this story has just the biggest impact, because it is out of all the comic book stories that I had read, and keep in mind, an 8-year-old boy perhaps doesn't have a lot of comic books. Just the visual of this story just impacted me, just looking at this. So to this day, I remember where I was. I remember the exact moment I saw this image. It was that impactful to me. And so we see Alfred here, and he's like, I declare, Master Bruce, is that you? Are you quite well? And he goes, no, and then smacks him as he continues yelling no here. Here's the thing about Gene Colan. He, even here at Alfred, this is why it's so perfect. And I don't know whether Gerry Conway got the idea to turn Batman into a vampire after seeing Gene Colan, because I have pointed out in different other instances how monstrous Gene Colan makes and vampiric Gene Colan makes people's faces here. And Batman's like, get away from me before I kill you. Can't you see I'm not what I was? Can't you see what I am? And here, I mean, he really smacks Alfred hard here. You see the clump as he hits it. Alfred's like, oh, my stars. And look at this awesome. I mean, I was spellbound by this book. 8-year-old me could not believe what I was seeing here. So Batman goes, that's right, Alfred. Open your eyes and look at me. Look at the monster I've been turned into. I can see that loathing in your expression, the fear. Love this blue. To me, this is the Batman I grew up with, and I love the blue. And I am so glad why I am such a fan of Matt Fraction's new run. Batman just got relaunched. Issue 2 just came out this month, October of 2025. Is that although the little yellow symbol is not back, the blue is back, and I love the blue. To me, this blue is iconic. And if I would have been fortunate enough to draw Batman, I get the redesigns of stuff, but we would have gone with the blue. And so Batman here, oh my God, look at this. This is just so awesome. Can't you see how it's tearing me apart to have become this creature? To have cravings that I thought were only nightmarish stories for children. I have needs now, Alfred. Dirty, horrible needs. Oh, that's awesome. Master Bruce. Look at that. That is just so freaking awesome. Needs I can't control. And Alfred screams. And so Batman puts him down and says, no. And says, I'm sorry, old friend. Sorry for what I did and sorry for what I almost did. But I'll not sink that low. Not while I still have my soul. And so you see Batman walking away. And Alfred's like, my lord, Master Bruce, you gave me quite a scare. And then he's like, Master Bruce. He went down to the cave. You see he moved the clock here. He's gone down the staircase to the Batcave without another word. And so he is like, just how loyal, just continues to follow him. And so there's a doorbell, and Alfred's like, at this hour. So he's gonna go see, and it is the priest. And so Alfred's like, may I help you? I am truly afraid, my good man, that I shall have to be the one to help you. May I come in? And so he does. Now, keep in wary that vampires, at least based on lore, can only come in when they are invited in. And so Alfred goes, excuse me, sir, but given the hour, I trust you will not think it untoward of me if I ask who you are and what you are doing here. And he says, I'm Father Green from St. Jude's Hospital, and I rather suspect there's someone in this house very much in need of my care. But there's, and he says, but there's no one here who is ill, Father. And the priest says, you misunderstand me, good sir. I did not come to you as a healer of worn and broken bodies, but rather as one accustomed to salvaging endangered souls. And Alfred's like, uh-oh. And so we are on a news bulletin here. And you can see them filming. And so Gordon's here. He wants to ask the lady here some questions. And it's kind of funny. I've always found it funny that the commissioner of police is like working detective, and like that isn't what a commissioner does, but that is what Gordon did. So they always had him a working detective, beat cops type things. So she's like, at this hour, And so, and by the way, he wasn't the commissioner. I'm sorry. I'm going through three different Batman stories at the same time, so you will have to excuse me here. So during this, he was a private investigator here. So Gordon has been in because Batman has had such a long run. Um, Gordon has been demoted. Gordon has been fired. In Matt Fraction's current run, he's a beat cop again. So, how do you go from commissioner to beat cop? Who knows? But he has, in here, he had been fired. He's a private detective. And so he goes, it's not commissioner anymore, Miss Ortega. Or don't you listen to your own newscast? And he says, I do, James. And I assume this gentleman is your new partner, Jason Bard, the same man who called and said you wanted these. And so he looks at it, and Gordon says, thank you, Miss Ortega, for exactly what we were looking for. These are the photos of Batman I was given during the mayoral race, the phony ones. As it says here, see Batman 344. I have not covered that, at least as of this time. So, and he says, when you know where to look, the retouching screams out at you. And so Gordon says, and to find out who wanted Hamilton Hill for mayor, we started looking for whoever set up Arthur Reeves. And now we know where to look, Jason. Or is that her? I don't know. I don't know who's saying that. Maybe her. And so he's like, yes, this is perfect. You've done us a big favor, Miss Ortega. And Gordon says, nonsense. Give me the photos and stop prattling on, Morton. These photos you've stolen are very valuable to me. Or is this another era? I'm sorry. If it's true, but neither of us is served by pretending the theft was a favor. I love this, like, eye width and width of jaw. So it was not Gordon here. You stole them from that woman, Vicky Vale, my editor. Yes, she is good, isn't she? An excellent photographer and a fine analyst. Every detail of Batman's Bertillon measurements carefully calculated as he's looking. And so, Morton, the other photographs, please. Yes, Boss Thorne. So this would be Rupert Thorne. I'm covering also the Marshall Rogers run, and Rupert Thorne is very important to that. And so I think he was running for mayor or a councilman during that time. And so Thornton says, we both knew you'd get them for me, Morton. Why bother lying to yourself? Ah, yes, here we are. The secondly perfectly matched set of measurements, which add up to a death sentence for Bruce Wayne. Ah, I just love the scent of a fine Havana and Triumph. He means a Cuban cigar here. And so in another area, Mr. Pennyworth, this is highly unusual, as they're calling, Alfred's calling this guy. Please, Mr. Chance, I beg you, this is quite an emergency that has arisen. All right, Luigi, the car. Yes, Senor Chris. And so I think we start reading here because that's where the and is. If you will not admit there is a poor tortured soul within, my friend, perhaps you should hear a little story. And Alfred says, I should welcome any explanation you might have to offer, Father, for I have already told you I have no idea of what brings you to Wayne Manor tonight. And so the priest begins. An old horror brings me, young man, one rekindled as flames of terror for our times. But it began over 100 years ago, far from here. And so we're gonna kind of just narrate this. So you see that we are in a plantation here, and this guy is just whipping up. And so she says, don't be the old fool, man. You don't know what to do. And he says, Wag your fingers at another man. You don't frighten me. And so that night, they were having Du Bois. I think they said his name. I'm sorry. Um, let's see, Louis Du Bois. And so he's having dinner with his wife, and then they're doing the drums here. Oh, sorry, he dined with his sister. My bad. And so he's like, "What? Drums? Such strange drums." So, and so this guy bumps into him, and of course he is, he um, he was just gonna tell him what the drums were, but then he bumped into him, and of course he says, "Speak when you're spoken to," and just slaps him. So he's not just, he's mean. And so his sister's like, "Damn, those drums, it's past midnight. Won't they ever stop?" And then, oh my God. And then you could see that Louis Dubois is going toward the drums. And I remember when I was reading this going, oh, holy shit. And I think that Gene Colan, it's Gene Colan's style. And so she decides to follow, and they're doing like some kind of a voodoo. And so you can see them here with the drums, and here's Du Bois. And it says here they waited, laughing, screaming, and each one with a evil in his heart than you and I will ever know. Perhaps he had tortured them, but the torture they were about to inflict in return was tenfold worse. And so the sister's watching, and so there's the old lady that he whipped in the beginning. And so he goes, "Come now." And so he says, "Put your hand in there," and we're going to see the snake bites. So part of the thing is that I was unsure, because if you look at the thing, whether these are snake people or vampires, it really is hard to tell, because the way this lore goes, they're bitten. He's bitten by a snake, and so there is indication that perhaps, I don't know. It always it doesn't, at least to me, is cut and clear whether these are like snake people, but they're not scaly. So I assume that it's vampires, but, and so he pushes the snake away, and the sister goes after him, and she laughs, and she goes to check on her brother, and the brother, and see, this is the part, see, going into the plus the longevity and all that kind of stuff leads me to believe that the snake turns them into the vampire, or whatever the ritual was. So this part here, and I remember when I was 8 just going, oh my God. And so then he, of course, and so here they say vampiri, but I'm still not convinced. So but definitely when I was like, so they turned him into a vampire, and Alfred's like, "That's a chilling story, Father, no doubt, but what has it got to do with your coming here tonight?" And he says, "Everything, my good sir. Have I not made it clear? My word, I must be getting quite muddled. Do you not see the Batman? He has been bitten by Du Bois, who calls himself the monk now. Batman is a vampire now." And so, of course, this is continuing from the previous issue. And here we see a jeweler. He's about to turn off the alarm and sees Batman. And "Don't scream, Marley. I told you not to do this anymore." And Batman grabs him and he screams. And Batman sucks his blood here. "I sent you to jail once, Marley. Now I only hope I haven't sent you to hell." And Batman walks away. So, and it says here, now, where did Bruce go? He always did disappear, but never stranding me. So this is Vicky Vale. And so here comes Bruce. "He didn't tonight either, Vicky. He asked me to see you home, Vicky. I'm afraid he's got a little problem." And here you see Du Bois and his sister. And the sister is was it Darla or something that she was after? And so the light comes softly. He shivers from the cold, the air, but from the ice in his veins, the price of damnation. He sobs, not the tears of a man, those of a lost soul, the price of damnation. And so then he looks at Dawn here. He is the Batman, and he will have his soul back. And you can see that cry there. And then to be continued in Batman 351, which we will get to then the next issue. So here we go. Batman as a vampire in regular comic books too. So wow, wow, wow. Like I said, maybe the story isn't, quite what but to me, to an 8-year-old, man, oh man, this story was freaking money. Detective Comics 517 by Gerry Conway with Paul Levitz in the writing, and Gene Colan penciling, and Todd DeZuniga with the inks. Like and subscribe. I do thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.